Alright, so I've been getting a ton of questions about the YJ on some of my recent videos, particularly the Rubicon video. So I'm going to make a walk around and cover at least the most popular questions and maybe dive into some of the details. So my Jeep is a 91. It is the 4.0 with the automatic 231 transfer case. Currently running the factory high pinion Dana 30 up front that is built up a little, and I have a 8.8 out of a Ford Explorer in the rear. My Jeep is actually an Islander, but the stickers for the Islander package are long gone. It was in a fender bender and repainted before I bought it, like 20 years or more ago. So I had no idea it was an Islander when I bought it. I actually bought this Jeep at a yard sale. Not a lot of people know that, but I did see this at a yard sale and I bought it. So my Jeep has roughly 4.5 inches of lift. It's on 4-inch springs from Skyjacker, and it has Skyjacker's M95 shocks. The shackles are boomerangs from Moore. The fronts are 3/8 lift, and the rear is 5/8 lift. I went with slightly longer shackles in the rear to help offset the lift you lose when you swap in an 8.8 because the tubes are thicker on an 8.8. And since I'm still spring under, a thicker tube on an axle effectively lowers your Jeep. So slightly longer shackles in the rear, and it sits pretty much perfectly level. I also have a 1-inch body lift from Daystar and a 1-inch motor mount lift from Moore as well. Slip yoke eliminator from Alloy USA, and Tom Woods drive shafts front and rear. The tires are 35 1250/15 BF Goodrich KM3s, and the wheels are 15x8 steel bead locks. They are Raceline Daytonas. I also have airsoft BBs inside the tires tagged as balancing beads, and they run down the road no problem. The steering on my Jeep is a little bit special. It is based around a set of WJ knuckles that I swapped on. So I have WJ knuckles with the later model bigger brakes, and they do fit on a 15-inch wheel with this much back spacing. I think it's 3 3/4 back spacing on these wheels, and the WJ brakes fit no problem. So the links are 1.25" quarter wall DOM that are direct threaded for Chevy 1-ton tie rod ends, and they are beefy. I'm using offset tie rod ends for the tie rod to help give some space between the diff cover and the tie rod. I have a flat pitman arm, and I'm using the stock YJ steering box for the moment. I did have a steering stabilizer on here, but I took it off because it was causing some interference problems. So I'm going to look into some sort of budget hydraulic assist, or I might just completely redo the steering. I'm not totally decided yet. I also have extended steel braided brake lines from Rough Country, and I'm using a little brake line hardline extender from Rubicon Express since the YJ brake line placement is kind of weird. Front axle is the high pinion Dana 30, like I said. I re-geared it with 456 Yukon gears. It has a Spartan locker, and I'm running Yukon chromoly shafts. I also have upper C gussets welded on, and I have tube seals, also from Alloy USA, I believe. The tube seals was mainly to keep junk from accumulating inside the CAD housing, since it's a lower point of the tube. And you can see where I chopped off the old track bar bracket. I don't run track bars or sway bars on this Jeep. I do have TJ fender flares on my YJ. I did cut and trim to give as much clearance to the tire as possible. And that combined with the bump stops with a little 1-inch hockey puck extender on top, I don't really have any rubbing issues. Just a little bit, but it's not enough to worry about. At full flex and full lock on the steering. Rear axle is a Ford 8.8 out of an Explorer, like I said. It is also re-geared 456 Yukon with a Spartan locker, and I have the Yukon Ultimate 8.8 kit, so the C-clip eliminator and chromoly shafts. All of my swap parts for the 8.8 I got from Barnes, so the lower shock mounts, the U-bolts, the spring plates, all that stuff came from Barnes. Front bumper is the Barnes stubby with the winch guard, and I have a Warn VR10S Evo winch on top. Rock sliders are just your generic Chinese rock sliders. These are from Paramount Automotive, I believe is the company name. but they're pretty much identical to any budget rock slider you get for a YJ. Rear bumper and tire carrier are from Smittybilt. It's fine. It doesn't rattle unless you're on, some washboardy road, and it holds my 35 no problem, and it's pretty low profile, so I have no plans to change it at the moment. To help with cooling, I have a hood vent or a hood louver from Genrite, and I have a transmission cooler and power steering cooler in front of the radiator. Under the hood is a completely stock 4.0, rebuilt probably 15,000 miles ago. Not rebuilt very well, previous owner didn't do a very good job, and it has some piston slap on all 6 cylinders. But it runs okay, and if and when it pops, it'll be coming out and replaced with something else, undecided. What I'll do if I do another 4.0, or if I do a stroker, or if I do an LS or something. It'll depend on the budget, I'm sure. Factory airbox, no silly cold air intakes or anything like that. And I have a extra large brake booster and master cylinder from Dave's Customs. And the motor mount lift from Moore, like I said. Currently running my half doors and my bikini top. I do have a set of full doors, a hard top, and a full soft top, and multiple upper doors, soft uppers for the half doors, but this is how the Jeep spends 90% of the year. On the interior, I have a pair of seats from Best Top. They're just a pair of basic gray seats. A Tuffy center console that's lockable and has cup holders. A Grant steering wheel that I hate, it's too small. An old Sony radio, who cares? Your base model Uniden CB, and a fire extinguisher. So it is the automatic. I had reservations about getting the automatic, but I've actually turned out I really like the automatic. It's given me no problems. The only modification to the transmission is a deep transmission pan, holds an extra quart. And to round out the CB install, I have a 3-foot Fire Stick Firefly antenna on a spring and a tail light mount. One thing I forgot to mention for the rear, I do have extended upper shock mounts from Moore as well. Give me an extra little bit of travel with my shocks. My e-brake cables for the rear are from East Coast Gear Supply. They're the 8.8 swap-in bolt-in cables. So that's pretty much it. It's a very basic YJ. The whole goal of this YJ was to build the YJ that I wanted when I was in college, but I couldn't afford. So it's still a very budget-built YJ, but it's the YJ I always wanted. And for whatever reason, some people online really hate that I built my Jeep the way I wanted it to be, but whatever. It's my Jeep. This is what I've always wanted out of my YJs, and I have it now. So next up will be some minor changes. I still need to fix the steering. It got bent on the Rubicon and I haven't fixed it yet. Need to do something about the gas tank skid. It's pretty beat up and a little rusty, and I need to fix the exhaust. If I decide to keep the 4.0, I'm going to do a full TJ exhaust to get that exhaust pipe that hangs down really low between the skid plate and the engine, get that tucked up a little better, and do something at the rear so that it stops rattling on the shackle. I also want to do suspension seats, a different steering wheel, and I'm going to build a full cage for it. Try to keep that sport bar style look, but build an actual real cage out of DOM and install a harness bar so that I can install harnesses in the new suspension seats. But more than anything, I just want to drive it and enjoy it right now. Like I said, when I was in college, I had a YJ, and it was a very even more budget-built YJ, and it was a 4-cylinder, the Rio Grande edition. But I couldn't afford to do all the things I wanted to. So when I bought this one 2.5 years ago, I built it pretty much exactly how I wanted my first YJ, my first Jeep to be built. So if you want more detail about something, or if I skipped over something, or if you have questions, let me know. Also, every step of this Jeep, I've got a video about every step of this Jeep. So I'll leave the playlist in the description if there's something specific you want to see exactly how I did or why I did it or something like that. But the plan now is to work on the LJ, get it up to reliably run 35s just like the YJ. Once the LJ is at 35s is when I'll really start working on this one again. Don't know where exactly I want to take it after this, but at this point I'm very content with the YJ and its capability. I did the Rubicon.